Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. Government announces plans to address water crisis in Portland. Media Association Jamaica Limited adds voice to attack on media workers. And later in sports, Wind is to play 3 ODIs against UAE next month. Thank you for joining us. I'm Shamila Pullen. Here are the details. The government continues to detail its plan to tackle the water crisis affecting residents of Portland. Minister with responsibility for water, Matthew Samuda, says while work is underway to upgrade wells in the parish, water is being trucked to the most affected communities.
The country has been feeling the pinch due to the decline in rainfall, and the cries for water have gotten louder from citizens in recent times. Speaking at the post-cabinet press briefing Wednesday morning, Minister with responsibility for water Matthew Samuda, while addressing the issue, noted that Portland is among the worst affected parishes.
The projections coming from our own Met Service and indeed regional partners project that there is a 40% possibility of us having a drier than usual 3 months ahead, including May. Now, May is our second traditionally wettest period for the year. That is a problem coming off of reduced rainfall as we have had since October last year.
And so, the government says measures are being implemented to deal with the crisis. Among the plans, the upgrading of Grants Level and Sherwood Forest wells and the purchasing of 2 new pumps in Mount Pleasant.
But we're not taking for granted that while this work is taking place, people can do without water. Previous to what I'd classify as the crisis brought on by the drought, Portland would have had 4 trucks in and around the area that would have generally serviced the needs of NWC and the parish council. We have increased that to 7, totally insufficient. We will again this morning, having gone through the appropriate commercial processes and negotiations, increase that by a further 2 trucks that will work 18 hours a day in delivery to those that are most impacted. So while simultaneously moving further and getting progress with the existing work that is underway, identifying new sources, we are increasing the capacity of the emergency response.
Meanwhile, Member of Parliament for Portland Western Darrell Vaz, while welcoming the announcement by Minister Samuda, raised concern about the lack of communication from the National Water Commission and the Municipal Corporation.
Another reason for the misery index is that the people don't know when they're getting water, either through the pipe or through trucking. And I'm calling on the Municipal Council and the Water Commission to set up community meetings and find a way to publicize the schedules of the water delivery, both in terms of the truck and in the pipes.
The Media Association Jamaica Limited has added its voice in condemning an attack on media workers on Monday. Meanwhile, General Secretary of the People's National Party, Dr. Dayton Campbell, says discussions will be held with Deputy General Secretary Dexroy Martin. More in this report.
Concern was raised after People's National Party Deputy General Secretary Dexroy Martin was heard on audio recording criticizing Radio Jamaica and nationwide news network reporters for wearing green clothing to the party's headquarters. The incident occurred while supporters of Alric Campbell from the St. Catherine Southeastern constituency were demanding a meeting with PNP President Mark Golding over the recent candidate selection exercise for the constituency. The Media Association Jamaica Limited, in a press release, says it is appalled by the behavior meted out to journalists reportedly at the PNP headquarters. It says this should not be taken lightly, as journalists should not be subjected to any threats or attacks, verbal or otherwise. It also calls for immediate action from the PNP in the matter. But speaking yesterday on Radio Jamaica's Beyond the Headlines, General Secretary of the People's National Party, Dr. Dayton Campbell, said the incident was unfortunate. He says such behavior will not be tolerated.
We do not want any recurrence of this problem, and that we will have the conversations with Mr. Martin and our other members to ensure that these things do not happen. We want to ensure that journalists can feel free to engage with the People's National Party so they can cover and do their jobs, having their role as the fourth estate, and we want them to do so freely without favor or fear.
Dr. Campbell says an investigation has been launched into the offensive comment from unidentified people who were present at its headquarters, directed at a female reporter from the RGR Cleaner Group. The female member was threatened with sexual assault by supporters of the PNP. Dr. Campbell says the matter will be reported to the police. O'Shane Masters, TVJ News.
The Southeast Regional Health Authority, SARA, is reporting a reduction in the number of abandoned babies in that region. SARA's Regional Technical Director, Dr. Sandra Chambers, was speaking on TVJ's Smile Jamaica today. Last week, the Southeast Regional Health Authority, SARA, reported a newborn baby girl who was found abandoned. According to reports, the child was found in a bloody brown shopping bag hanging from a fence in Vineyard Town, Kingston. The newborn was taken to hospital where she remains. However, the police are still investigating the matter.
Once it has been reported, they would have come in, done their investigations. Then they seek out somewhere, maybe a place of safety, maybe Glen Hope or some place of safety, and that will house the baby temporarily until the child goes before the court, and then the court will decide is this a ward of the state, etc. Yep. You know, the way forward is decided by Children's Services and the court. The child sometimes stays at the hospital for a little while because it may take a while to find a suitable place to place.
As far as you know, Dr. Chambers goes, the child is okay?
Child is fine.
The incident has since renewed concerns about babies being abandoned by mothers soon after delivery. But Dr. Chambers says there has been a reduction in the number of reported cases of abandoned babies.
There are two types of abandoned children. You have the one like this one that was brought in, and you have the ones that are taken to hospital for genuine illnesses and left there. And so we do not have a lot in recent times of babies being brought in like this. They're like, few and far between.
Okay.
More frequently are the ones that are left in hospital, and those are quite few too. Okay. And Bustamante tells me that they presently have 3 such children. Last year they had about 6.
Meanwhile, Dr. Chambers is reminding the public that if an abandoned baby is found, there are certain procedures that must be followed.
First thing we need to do is look at the baby to see what is the state the baby is in. Is the baby alive? Is the baby dead? Is the baby in distress? So whatever is the situation, the first thing one needs to do is to stabilize the baby if the baby needs to be stabilized. Baby needs to be looked at by a doctor. And then the next thing we do, or it could be done simultaneously, depending on the level of staffing that you have, is call the police. Call the police and you call the Child Protection and Family Services. And they're the ones that...
It's time for a break. Stay with us. More stories when we return. Welcome back to the Midday News. Following concerns by the nation's teachers of discrepancies in their salaries due to the government's compensation review, a task force has been established to delve into the matter. Minister with responsibility for information, Robert Morgan, provided the update at this morning's post-cabinet press briefing.
There is work being done. There is a recognition that there are challenges and discrepancies within the payment system as it relates to the compensation. And that is being addressed by this task force that has been set up by Minister Favour Williams.
The nation's teachers have been at odds with the Education Ministry since signing the new compensation package. According to the Jamaica Teachers Association, JTA, some teachers are worse off than before. It's time for the Business Minute.
Industry, Commerce and Investment Minister Aubin Hill says the country needs to produce more to reduce its trade deficit. Mr. Hill noted a few areas he believes have growth potential.
We need to look at making more things. We need to make, and when I say making more things, I don't mean just making manufactured stuff. We need to manufacture more stuff. But we also need to expand our services. Agro-processing. Sugar is gone. Banana is not as strong, not nearly as strong as it used to be. But there are other products that we need to look at. We need to look at orchard crops. We waste mangoes every year. Mango is the basis of nearly all juice except, of course, orange juice. Any mixture you have of juice, mango is in there almost, invariably. We don't harvest that. We need to look at avocado. I was in Domrep, as you know. The former president, who is known as the president of agriculture in Domrep, he told me that they're exporting 1.5 billion US dollars of avocado. Pears, that we call pear. Okay? So then the mango is even much more.
The 2022 trade data coming from the Statistical Institute of Jamaica Statin show that the island continues to have a negative trade balance, with the trade deficit amounting to 5.8 billion US dollars. Further afield, the prices of online goods are dropping. New data from Adobe Analytics found prices for e-commerce fell nearly 2% in April compared to last year. April also marked the 8th straight month of decreasing prices. And that's it for the Business Minute. I'm Shane Masters.
Thank you, O'Shane. And here's a preview of what's coming up in this evening's Health Report. In this evening's Health Report, we look at speech and communication after a stroke.
So we encourage our young people to get involved. It's Better Speech and Hearing Month, and we want them to pursue the profession if they're fortunate enough to go overseas and do university there, because they need to come back. We don't have enough clinicians here to satisfy the need. And so you're looking at limited resources a lot of the time why people don't pursue doing speech therapy.
That's the Health Report in Primetime News at 7. And now for today's Healthy Living tip. When communicating with someone who is recovering from a stroke, make sure you are face-to-face when speaking. Speak slowly in short, simple sentences. Use gestures, writing, or pictures, and make it clear when the topic has changed. And now for the top regional and international stories.
In regional news, 2 persons are now in custody following a joint operation that resulted in the recovery of a significant amount of a substance police say they believe to be cocaine. The Royal Virgin Islands Police Force, or VIPF, says the operation involved both air and marine access from both agencies and culminated with a boat chase that ended on Long Bay Beef Island. The cocaine was seized along with a speedboat. Heavily armed officers were observed patrolling the beach at Long Bay early this morning in what appeared to be a manhunt for the suspects involved in the drug incident. The police have not released the identities of the persons in custody. On the international scene, US President Joe Biden has indicated that he knows the southern border will be chaotic, as Title 42 is set to expire Thursday. The pandemic-era policy allowed authorities to quickly expel certain migrants at the border. The government estimates about 150,000 migrants are already camped out in northern Mexico, with more likely heading to the border. News further afield, the United States, Canada, and the United Kingdom have issued advisories in the wake of protests in Pakistan. Demonstrations have broken out across the country after the arrest of former Prime Minister Imran Khan on Tuesday. The U.S. Embassy in Pakistan said it was monitoring reports of clashes between protesters and police in Islamabad and elsewhere. It advises citizens to be vigilant, avoid large crowds, and review personal security plans. Canada issued a similar advisory. In the UK's updated travel advisory, it said public gatherings of more than 4 people are prohibited in the capital. It also warned that some may have an anti-Western dimension and could turn violent. And those were the top regional and international stories. I'm Hal Shane Burke.
We head to a quick break. When we come back, we'll have your Midday Sports Report with Jordan Fort.